Dave Hukka is a 26-year-old man who has been doing videography work for almost a decade, if not more, what probably feels like to you. You record and shoot and edit and even do VFX work, like high dynamic, engaging content that varies in scope, complexity, seriousness. Sometimes it's whimsical and a gag. Other times it's satirical. Like you kind of push yourself in different directions. And Dave Hukka is now living, working, breathing videography in Sydney, whether it be for Mentored Media as head of production or just on the side in your every day-to-day life as Dave Hukka. So, mate, welcome to the podcast. We're now rolling. It's incredibly scary and awkward.
You've got this.
But we're here now.
Yeah.
And, mate, I just want to go all the way back to, like, the start, I suppose. And just what about video just popped into your head and you went, aha, you know, like... How did audiovisual content sort of take hold and like it became like a serious like passion that has kind of developed and amalgamated to where it is now?
Mate, thank you so much for having me here. Pleasure to be on the hurncast. Let's go.
Yes, welcome to the hurncast, by the way. Whoopsie, I didn't name drop my own.
No, that's all right.
Whoopsie.
No, you're right. All right. Look, I don't think there was one particular aha moment. I think it was like a slow evolution over time. Way back in high school, I was a wannabe YouTuber. I was crazy into the YouTube scene. I know, right? But like... Remember like the age of Smosh and Fred and Annoying Orange and all of them?
I was an Annoying Orange.
You were the Annoying Orange. Oh man.
Well, just
hey, it's Fred.
Well, just like looking back, like this whole high pitched voice, this kind of like this high pitch everything because we were young squeakers.
That's it. Yeah, I feel like it's coming back with TikTok now. You know, attention spans are so short, everything's so fast paced. It's all on fast forward.
That is so true.
Yeah, but there was like this niche of YouTube, these guys making really high quality videos on a YouTube budget. And this was before YouTube was taken over by, you know, music videos and Jimmy Kimmel doing whatever.
Are you referring to like the Freddie Wong?
Freddie Wong, now Rocket Jump, Corridor Digital, Tomska, I don't know if you remember him, even some of Smosh's productions. And as a teenager in high school, I saw that and I was like so inspired. Like these guys were doing movie quality productions on YouTube, like for free every week. And so I wanted to do that. And I convinced mum and dad to buy me a camera initially. And this was like 14 years old or something.
That actually happened.
Yeah, it did.
Your parents placed faith in you.
They did. And they bought me this like really old piece of editing software. It was like AVS video editor. I had a free version initially, and so all of my early videos had a watermark over the top that said like AVS free video editor.
Oh God! I think where you and I differed was I went down the whole Windows Live Movie Maker when I was really insulated. I was not sharing any of it. Thank God.
Okay.
And yeah, I think after that it was a cracked Sony Vegas, and now here we are, and I'm old enough to buy my own copy of DaVinci Resolve, which is what I use now.
An amazing piece of software, bro.
So on the topic of software, like what was the journey from hardware and software, like as you were starting out, and where did your path sort of go?
Yeah. Actually, so I'll just stop there for a second. Do we want to continue like the story of me, like where I started?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, we can cut that.
No, we don't have to cut it because I kind of want to force myself.
Okay.
I kind of want to force, like I'm in front of the camera. There's no avoiding it.
Okay.
There's a kind of selfish incentive with this podcast for me to not only learn from people that I look up to who are way further down their career and who I'd argue is way more successful, but also go through this process of like self-editing live because I have never like done live stuff. I think during the TV subject at university, I like kind of crumbled.
We need to get into that later on as well, reminiscing about uni. That's another whole world.
Yeah.
But
we'll talk about that later, but back to the origin.
No, that's
and
fair. That's fair.
Where your journey's now going.
Yeah, okay. So high school, you know, had this, you know, these really rudimentary tools for shooting video.
Yeah.
And I had siblings, I had friends, and I was like, get in there, guys. We're gonna shoot some stuff. And I think where we differ is that you said that the content that you made, you just sort of, you know, held on to it. Yeah. I was broadcasting that to the world. I was putting it out there on YouTube. I have this really old YouTube channel with content that is so embarrassing. I hope no one watching this finds it.
Right.
And I'm not gonna mention what it is.
Duh. Of course.
Yes. Yeah. Slow Motion Studios.
Oh, okay.
Gonna cover that.
He did it.
Oh no! I'll put a URL there in the edit or something.
I'll add a watermark over this video. Fuck it.
Oh man, yeah. And so, like, I guess doing that, the videos were terrible. They were utter crap. But because of doing that every week, and I challenged myself for a while to actually upload weekly, it was good practice. And I learned Adobe After Effects. We got an old computer, an old iMac, and the guy that sold it to us was upgrading to his Adobe. And so he gave us all the Adobe programs. This was before the days of like subscriptions, back when it was a disc. Wow. So I had this really good software, and I just started making more and more videos. And then eventually I filmed a friend's wedding for free. A friend of a friend's dad's small business, did a promo video for them. And getting back to your key moment in time, there was a moment, I think it was like 2014, when I had to make a decision, like, do I want to do this for a career? Right. And because I was good at maths, I was, you know, built a lot of Lego, and we lived in, you know, Newcastle area, right? The Hunter Valley, where engineering, you know, blue collar kind of working. And so, you know, I thought, I'll go to uni and study civil engineering or something. But I decided, no, I'm going to pursue my passions.
Thank God.
I'm going to be a creative. I'm going to work in the media industry. Yeah. But only if I can do two things. Only if I can actually make a genuine impact on people's lives by doing it. And number two, if I'm able to make enough financially to support a future family and to support myself. You know, there's this kind of stereotype about a couch surfing creative just going from job to job. And that's great. I'm sure that's amazing for certain people's, you know, creativity, and they make amazing stuff. But for me personally, that's not the route I wanted to go down. I wanted to be a creative with kind of a process and an intention behind it.
So much maturity for like a thought pattern and internal dialogue when you were all the way back in 2014. How old were you back then? I
would have been 17. So
17.
Yeah. So sort of in a couple of years before uni. After school, I did a gap year and then went straight into uni. And so the same degree as you, it was communication at the University of Newcastle.
Yeah, true. Let's talk about, I guess, the uni process. Was it worth it? Was the debt worth it, bro?
That's the question, isn't it? Yeah.
That's crazy. It's coming out of my
man. I mean, all right. I guess we should preface this by saying, like, there are some degrees that are essential, right? Doctors, engineers, right?
Yeah, you don't want a doctor not knowing.
No. You know, the doctor's like, I've got my Cert 4 from this online uni. I'm here to operate on you. No. But for man, it's such a hard thing. I don't think there's any answer straightforward if you should do university or not. I think for me, because I was already working in the industry, getting paid gigs before uni didn't really help me in terms of my skills. Right. But where uni did really help me is in terms of networking and connections. Like, that's where we met. My first job out of uni, I started it a week after handing in my final assignment, actually. That was directly as a result of university. Yeah. So my then employer actually came to a uni open day and said to some of the lecturers and the tutors that they met there that, hey, we need a media production graduate. Yeah. Who have you got? And so they put a few of our names forward, and we all did interviews and applied for it. That opportunity would not have come about if it wasn't for university and all of the networks there.
Yeah, university as a networking opportunity. I feel like I didn't leverage that as much as you. So I'm actually really happy that you've, from the sounds of it, like you used uni despite the level of debt. Like by comparison to what you're doing now
Yeah.
and everything you're building now, which I've got to say is like fantastic. You've taken me through like all within like, what, 1 square kilometer, so much stuff around your life. It's in a very small pocket. I'm not going to dox, but like, dude, you live and breathe the work so much that it's like all in the same space.
I literally moved next door to work. It was, that was an amazing opportunity. It just came up with a friend of mine that his housemate moved out.
Yeah.
So I moved in with him, and he happened to live a 2-minute walk from my office, which is insane. And I guess we can get into talking about routines and mindset and everything later. But it is
Of course.
definitely helpful there, because I've essentially bought myself 40 minutes of commute time on either way that I used to take up so much of my time.
I can relate.
Yes.
Just,
Bro, what's your train ride? Is it an hour?
it's not just train.
Okay.
Depending on which way I go, it's train light rail or train bus.
Okay. Painful.
It really depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're kind of looking at roughly about an hour 40.
Wow. But you work on the train though.
Just because like my whole shtick is like editing, and I got the latest MacBook Pro, I can just do it wherever I go.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before we hopped on the mic, it's like I can contribute to the hour, my obligated hours whilst on the train, if I absolutely had to. Lately, I've been kind of doing like 8 hours at work. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm needed more at work. Like at the office location. So I actually like how you've been able to, in contrast, strip that right down. And what has that given you in terms of like your day-to-day lifestyle? Like what does the typical work day look like for Dave Hukka, the all-round genius creative, you know?
Yeah, like I said, it's bought me time. And I think I'm getting to a season of my life where time is probably the most valuable commodity. It's funny how it sort of shifts from like money being the thing you strive for to time being the thing you strive for. Yeah. And I think I'm in the midst of that transition at the moment. So having extra time means that work doesn't stay the same, but it means that outside of work hours, I have an extra, 40-minute commute either way, so that's an hour and a half. And I can use that time to sleep in if I want to. I can go to the gym, I can catch up with a friend for coffee beforehand, or I can work on one of my various other projects. Like there's all of the side hustles and everything that I do as well. And so on the one hand, it lets me cram more things in.
Yeah, okay.
But it also gives me the option to hopefully, I'll get to this in the future, actually rest and have some more, work-life balance with what I do.
Of course. What did you mean by side hustle?
Side hustles.
Yeah.
Okay. So, remember how I mentioned before that before uni, I was already working. I was already doing gigs like wedding videos. I was doing like corporate videos for, a friend of a friend's business. So I kept that going all the way through university. And so it was full-time degree and then my video business on the side, and that was just under my name. And then when I started full-time work, I replaced full-time uni with full-time work and kept all the side hustles going. Wow. And and I've always had like casual jobs on the side. So working for our old university, I still have a casual job with them. I get to go around the country running these awesome science events for high school students, which is amazing.
That's absolutely fantastic.
It's the only non-media related job that I have, and absolutely love it. So Science and Engineering Challenge, there's a plug right there. I do,
duh!
Lots of cool.
Like that was
cool
huge
events.
when I was.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Is that just like?
It's
is
national.
It location?
No, it's national. So it's run out of the University of Newcastle, and
See,
they
that's
have
the
these
part
vans.
I didn't know.
Yeah. No, for real. They have these vans, and they just drive them like every state. It's 200 events a year. So there was that, and then other casual jobs as well. And so when I started working full time, I replaced full time uni with full time work, but kept the side hustles going as well.
Cool.
And COVID obviously messed with that a fair bit.
Oh god!
But now that's a season of life. It's all in the past now, hopefully. And I've been able to recently structure those side hustles into two groups. So there's the stuff I do under my own name,
Sure.
just Dave Hukka, as I guess trying to build up my brand as an influencer. And then there's Light Globe Films, which is what I've labeled my wedding video business. Because if you combine wedding videos with corporate videos or event videos, then it's like a bit of an identity crisis.
You don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to sanitize a couple's special day.
Exactly. They don't want to see, a mortgage broking convention, right, on the website. Like, well, he doesn't do weddings.
Yeah, true.
So it's two very different brands, and that's two different websites. I operate as a sole trader on it, but just trying to keep them separate, different social media accounts, different billing systems for invoicing and all of that.
Of course, don't ruin a good thing. If it's working for you and you know how to work both, keep going. So how did you like? Let's get into the camera stuff real quick.
Okay, nerdy. I love it. I love it.
Just because I know that's going to really get the conversation snowballing.
Okay.
How did you start your camera journey? Like what? Because I'm petrified by choice. Not that I have the means to execute that choice, because I just don't have enough to fund a camera. But when it comes to picking a camera, when you don't know a lick about bodies, lenses, even lighting, like how do you start to figure it all out, and what have you found with your equipment?
So I'll start off by saying that in 2022, you cannot buy a bad camera. They're all good.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Sony, whatever you get from the big brands, as long as they're new modern cameras, they're all going to be great. They're going to shoot amazing photos and they're probably going to shoot a great video as well. Canon and Sony in particular. Very, very good.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way back in the day, that was not the case. So there was, a little bit of a trip down memory lane. In about 2007, Canon released a camera called the 5D Mark II, which was the first stills camera, like DSLR, that could shoot full high definition video. And that blew everyone's minds because before that, video cameras were like these big, bulky, you have it on your shoulder, they, tape and film, or like just, it wasn't great. You didn't get any.
And they compacted it into.
Well,
something so small.
Not quite. So, shallow depth of field, so blurry backgrounds, good low light performance, manual controls. A lot of those features weren't in video cameras, but they were in stills cameras. And so the 5D Mark II was the point where stills cameras were powerful enough that the processor inside it was powerful enough to shoot full high definition video.
Right.
And that was the point. Then it started a whole revolution, and then it started to trickle down to cheaper cameras. So the first camera that I ever bought myself was a Canon 550D, which is like the little baby brother to that
Canon
5D.
550D.
550D. And I'm actually releasing a video very soon, so it'll be in the past when this episode comes out.
Right.
Where I film on that camera. And I haven't filmed anything on it in like 8 years, which is really cool, and it still holds up today.
And you're just casually bringing it back and just reinforcing its relevance.
Exactly. Well, I'm proving that the camera that you're using doesn't really matter. So it's about lenses, obviously. You need good lighting, you need good audio, and just the skill of the person using it.
Right.
Go to YouTube. Watch videos, watch camera reviews, trial and error, speak to people who
Go
know
down the
about
rabbit
the
hole,
gear.
figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. If you make some mistakes, well then that's okay. It's a learning, thing. You can just come back to it later.
Just coming onto this this podcast in this environment and hearing that from you just makes me feel much more confident almost. And I hope listeners at home that, kind of want to delve into the world of videography kind of find comfort in that too. Even if then they're competent with hardware or not, there's nowadays a modern choice that's out there that fits, and as long as they're confident to use that the way that it's meant to be used, at the very least, and then improve upon it, I think that's a really cool thing to acknowledge here today for me, just because I feel like every time I use the camera, it's based off of the understanding of what someone else taught me. I haven't internalized it. I don't understand the engine of it. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out the relationship between ISO, aperture, shutter speed, all that sort of stuff. I haven't
Yeah.
internalized that yet.
I think that's a really good way of putting it, internalizing it.
I don't know the
Yeah,
mechanics of the camera.
Yeah.
Whereas I understand the
Interesting.
mechanics of the discipline of editing.
Yeah.
And it's so painful because I just want to get the shot.
I think everyone needs to specialize somewhere, and you're an insanely good editor.
Okay.
You're really good. One of our lecturers, shout out to Phil McIntyre.
Good
All the
old
Beatles references.
Sweet Chili Philly.
I know, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember
Love
him
that
saying
man.
that we need to be T-shaped individuals. So by that, imagine
What
a
was that?
T-shape, right? You've got the top bit, then you've got the stem of the T. So by that, he means that we need to know a little bit about a lot of different topics, but one topic we need to know really intimately, really in depth, and that's the area that we specialize in.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that actually, not
Okay.
in that analogy, but
Yeah.
like the lateral versus the shit, what is it called? Like the longitude
Yeah.
or like the depth of something.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like people that are like way more social, they have the I guess the ability to be lateral. Whereas people that are sort of, I guess, introverts and that really do specialize, they go down this like rabbit hole, kind of like what I did. So for the people that I guess are specializing, but they're wanting more out of videography, whether it be solo or with the team, which we can touch up on later.
Yeah.
Like, what's your best advice with like starting?
Ooh, get a camera. That's the first thing.
Of course, get a camera.
You could use your phone, actually. We all have an amazing camera in our pocket, right
Okay.
here.
Where's mine?
The issue
Down here.
is you lack manual control
Of the phone camera.
of the phone camera. Yeah, so phone
Yeah.
cameras, you can't change the aperture of them. There are apps you can download to give you manual control, which really does help. But having a camera with an interchangeable lens is really going to help with that. And like you said, understanding the mechanics of it, that relationship between shutter speed, ISO, aperture, those three things, if you get your head around those, it's sort of like,
I'm still trying to.
imagine the fire triangle, right? You need heat, you need fuel, you need oxygen. And
I didn't know
understanding-
that. Now I do.
And understanding the relationship between those three, that's how I think of aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. They all have side effects.
Right.
And once you understand those, you'll be able to operate any camera. And then it's a matter, and then you can understand like, oh, this lens is better because of the aperture. This camera is better because of the ISO it can get to. But in good lighting, like if you're shooting outdoors, like I said before, like even a cheaper camera can achieve amazing results. And it becomes more about the limitations of the person's knowledge, which is where, YouTube comes in. It's where talking to people. It's where just trial and error.
Okay. But there's even the like YouTube's huge. How much did you rely on YouTube to learn?
Literally everything back in the day, because
Far
it
out,
was like
Brussels
this was
sprout.
before university, right?
Sure.
And I don't think they really taught us the basics of maybe
at
there
uni?
might have been one course.
What
of, like,
foundations of media production? Shout out.
Yeah, with Simon. Remember that?
I do remember.
It's great.
Sime. Yep.
Yeah. So they might have taught us a little bit there, but you learn, or at least I learn best when I'm actually doing the thing myself.
Yeah.
Like I can watch something on a screen, but it's not the same as when I've actually got the camera in my hands and I'm actually physically adjusting the dials and the buttons. So just being able to do that, and then add into that the pressure of you're on a film set, you're working with a client, and oh no, I'm going to get this
True.
setting right.
That is so true.
I'm going to go home, I'm going to read all the manuals and tutorials and make sure I know how to use that camera inside and out.
Kind of like what I want to do, but can't seem to manage it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can literally go to YouTube and just type in, teaching me about cameras, camera settings, understanding exposure, something like that.
Maybe I just haven't really thrown myself at it yet. Might be because you threw yourself at it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. All from one person's like kind gesture of, hey, here's my equipment and the Adobe subscription, and you're like, wow, and you just go like,
That was it, yeah. And they were all contributing factors. Like, so certainly getting that iMac
Sure.
And then mum and dad buying me a camera. And then I bought my own camera later. And
That's huge,
all
by the way.
All these things just
That's
lining up.
huge.
Yeah.
Like your mother and father buying the camera, your sisters helping you. Like your family's literally your first experience and
They were the
impression
test
of a
dummies.
team.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which segues to my next question.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Teamwork and collaboration.
Yes.
What's it like for you to collaborate? Do you notice differences between the work you pump out yourself or with others? And do you have any reservations about working alone or with team members, depending on the project brief?
Ooh, okay. We're getting into
I
it.
threw a curveball at the end, didn't I?
Let's go. So I've done
Yeah.
all of those, actually.
Fuck.
So
do
yeah,
tell.
siblings back in the day. We've done uni assignments. Like we've worked on uni assignments together.
Oh, that's fun.
And I think it comes down to how passionate
Yeah.
the other members of the team are and how motivated they are.
That is
So like
so
at
true.
uni, everyone's motivated. Well, everyone's meant to be motivated because, you know, everyone's marks are on the line. At work, everyone's being paid to be there. And I've been on proper professional film sets before for TV shows, and they're like a well-oiled machine. They're insane. Everyone from like the runners, the gaffers, the grips, they all know exactly what they're doing. And they're all just running around doing it because they're paid to be there, and it's more of a, I don't know, a trade for them almost. Like there are unions. And so they know exactly what they're doing. I think motivating people for personal projects is far, far more difficult. We set all this up and doing it really well because we're both really passionate about it.
Yeah.
But if there was someone who wasn't very motivated, wasn't very passionate
They'd be
about
like,
it.
fuck, what am I doing here?
Exactly right. And like
What am I doing in this
making
black
short films.
Mate.
I know, yeah. And like making short films as a kid with friends, that was like when you're trying to motivate them. Like, you know, they're all off, you know, they went inside and playing Call of Duty and like, come on guys, we need to get this last shot for the story. And, you know, at that point I was like a director and trying to motivate everyone. Like, all right, fine, I'll shout your pizza.
Yeah. Create that incentive for the people that were kind of lacking. Wavering.
Yeah. But in terms of actual teamwork dynamics, like for work, I think understanding what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are, understanding like the part that they play in the team. So if someone's, you know, a really good, camera operator, I'll get them to do that. If someone's really good at talking to the client but not so good at operating the camera, that's all right. Just put them on that. At work, I've got a team of a few people that each have their strengths and weaknesses. So one guy's really, really good at editing these amazing, long, intricate projects. But he's maybe not the fastest editor in the world for some of these slower, really quick turnaround ones.
Takes his time.
But that's okay
really
because he's quality over quantity. So I'll put him on the longer projects, whereas there are other people who are much, much faster. So, you know, for these reels, these TikToks, just get him to smash it out really fast.
All these pesky reels and TikToks.
Man, that's where the industry's heading right now.
Oh,
attention spans
calamity.
are like this long.
Yeah, true. Got to feed the pipeline of low attention spans and ADHD.
Oh, that's it. But the worst part is you make it, you put it up, and then, you know, people watch it once or twice and then that's it. You know,
move on to the next one.
Then it's scrolled down, you know, it's further down on their feed and no one else may ever see it.
Yeah. Are you aware of the horizontal scroll?
Horizontal scroll?
On TikTok.
Oh, like a carousel?
No. Okay. It's like... there's the scroll, but also there's like I think I'm getting this right. I'm probably butchering it. Okay. It's like a horizontal scroll.
Right.
Wherever how long you stay on a video, that kind of... So think of like there are many different rabbit holes and you've come down this rabbit hole and how long you stay on this video.
It changes the algorithm. Yes.
It chooses where to send you next.
Yes. No, I haven't heard of that term, horizontal scroll. That's interesting.
I feel like I heard that somewhere and I'm probably, again, butchering it.
Yeah, okay.
But I guess, how do you compete on the topic of that? How do you compete for attention? Like, what is it about, I guess, going back to my discipline, the edit, especially with like 60-second bite-sized bits of content, like how do you retain the attention? What are some techniques? Like I noticed a lot when I'm watching stuff, they do this thing where they speak like the first and last sentence is like a broken half sentence, so that when the video loops back around, it sounds like, okay, you've started at the start, but now that you're at the end, oh fuck, you're at the start. Wait, where am I? Somewhere in the middle? Okay, I'm back at the beginning.
Encourages a second watch.
Yeah, well, a third watch sometimes
I definitely
too.
take advantage of that myself.
Yeah.
With my socials.
What other techniques?
So I think the first couple of seconds are the most crucial. So having a really good hook, right? Summarizing the entire video down into something that's controversial. Yeah, hook 'em. Yeah. Something that's controversial, something that's attention grabbing, that's going to make them want to watch.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's relevant to the rest of the video. Otherwise, you've kind of tricked people into watching your reel.
True. You don't want to trick them like YouTube clickbaiters.
Yes.
That'd be
those thumbnails,
friggin' awful.
mate. Yeah.
hate that.
And I think having it visually interesting. I was watching a creator that I followed the other day, and he was talking about the best scroll stoppers. And so in one of them, he literally just jumped at the start of his reel. So
I think I saw that too.
Yeah, so you scroll, and then it's like, oh, he's jumping. There's movement in there. It's not just someone talking to the camera. So that's an option. Captions. Captions, emojis, GIFs, anything all over the place.
Oh my God.
Like so at work, we create content for some, quite professional, business people.
You've got a very wide array of clientele.
We do. Yeah. I'm going to say that line again. Professional business people.
Professional business people.
They're professionals at being businesses.
And they
Business
are people.
They are people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are indistinguishable from their businesses, but they like having these bright colored captions. Bright red, yellow, all over the place that are animating in, popping out, because it's attention grabbing and it gets views. And eventually down the line, they see the ROI on that and see that'll translate into exposure, which will translate into more money, more revenue for their business, either directly or indirectly.
Maybe I need to start doing that, like the coloured captions and that, because my boss tried to nudge me down that path, and I was like, oh, we're still using Rev,
Yeah.
But I think I will eventually make the transition.
There are ways to automate it, and I think we're living in the midst of an AI revolution right now.
Oh my God, don't get me started on AI.
AI is another whole thing.
I love AI.
And we're experimenting around with it. Like some of our copywriters use, Copy AI or Chat GTP for writing captions, for writing blogs, for writing articles. So imagine that technology applied to video editing. It analyzes because speech to text is very good now. So it knows the script of the video, and then it can just analyze that and work out what's irrelevant and cut it. And then imagine that. There probably is software that does that already, and then takes that text and turns it into captions, and then puts colors on it and makes it bounce around. That would be amazing. And who knows? In the future, like when people are watching this, that may exist. Maybe.
That is so damn cool.
Yeah.
Can you touch on the workplace environment that you have, and how you how you like to contribute to it as head of production at Mentored Media?
Ooh. It is a very, very fun workplace.
How?
So
I know how. You've shown me the office.
Memes.
You've shown me the channels.
The memes. We have a Slack channel just for memes.
Sounds like a shit poster's
I think
dream. Right?
We keep it fairly family friendly.
Oh, duh.
The banter.
You have to. It's corporate.
Yeah. What stays in the company stays in the company. I think that company culture cannot be forced. I think that, so just imagine like we have a new boss coming in, right, at any company, and then they're like, no, we're doing this now. It's very hard to shift that. I think the culture is an amalgamation of everybody. And there can certainly be, if a manager has a certain attitude towards culture, that is going to have more of a sway. But I think it's the result of everybody just collectively being fun, energetic, bubbly people, and all contributing to that culture, and then that sort of rubs off on others, and then it's perpetuated, and new people coming in kind of, adopt that for themselves. Even if they're more introverted, they'll sort of start to come out of their shell. And like we've got Nerf guns in the office, man. We've got,
wow.
I know.
How often are you reaching for the Nerf gun?
Maybe once a week.
Once a
we
week?
Might break it out once a week. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. We need to organize another big office Nerf war. You're invited.
Nice. I'm the type of person that picks up the gun
and
shoots one bullet
somewhere
that they're not expecting.
Okay. And the least expected. You get the little suction cup ones and stick to their screens.
I love those.
Yes.
There's also those like those bouncy ones where it hits it.
Oh,
like,
the rings, the disc launcher.
I think.
Okay.
I don't.
Right.
It's been forever since I've reached for a toy gun.
How did we
like
get
that.
into Nerf guns?
I think really fun office culture we cannot
Yeah.
force. Yeah.
So
Bring it back to
Nerf
that.
guns, cricket, banter, like we seriously have office cricket.
That's so cool.
And it's amazing we haven't broken any screens or computers or anything yet. And I think just the culture perpetuates itself. And, you know, I would never want our company culture to change because it's amazing.
Oh, and did you touch up on how you contributed to it? Yeah, I know you touched up on the amalgamation of all, but what are you adding, subtracting, leaving?
I am adding the dankest memes to the chat.
Okay, but for realsies, through your skill set and everything that is good about Dave Hukka with respect to creativity, how are you creative about enriching that in a way that is not forced?
Okay. So, I'm an interesting mix of creative, but also systems and processes.
Damn.
So in that, which is a weird combination to have, right? But
it's a damn good one.
If it's like a Venn diagram, that intersection of them is where I really thrive. So like, how
writing
wide
is
charts
that
and spreadsheets. Oh, I can get pretty creative. Like we had we've done some work for Jim before. And so that was like an escape from the corporate world. And I showed you before, right? Like some of these insane gym videos, like slow motion shots.
Oh, sorry, I thought Jim the person.
Lightning. Yeah, Jim's. Yeah. Jim should open a gym.
Jim should open a gym.
Jim's mowing. Jim's. There's a hilarious video online of like a parody of all of the gym things. Where was I going with that?
Back to... I derail stuff.
Yeah, that's
but back
right.
to...
It can get really creative. And I think just like the creativity, bringing to it, but also meshed with those procedures. So like, I started working here and when I got the role and one of the first things I did was implement this piece of software that automatically creates file structures and names them and dates them just to keep everything organized. But at the same time, I like messing around with lighting and framing, doing all the creative stuff there.
It seems like you have so many resources like at your disposal, but also within your control because you have really taken this seriously and you've applied yourself time and time again. How do you deal with like challenges that come your way? Do you like crack under pressure? Is there ever like a time you're on set or you're on a job and you just like it escapes you and you crack like internally? It's like I don't know what to do. Like it's like as if it's a bad moment, a videographer's worst nightmare. Like, do you ever have those moments? And if so, like, how do you overcome those challenges?
All the time. We have them all the time. We do a lot of shoots off-site, and I cannot tell you how many times we've forgotten a crucial piece of gear, like the headphones to monitor the audio, and we're like, how do we actually monitor the audio here?
Shut up.
Or
really?
For real, because like we're packing them all into Pelican cases and shipping them out, and then we might forget, and all the gear's back in the studio. So I think that's where that systems and processes kind of mentality comes in, because I'm able to just like, okay, stop. We need to think about this. How can we actually get around it? Like, we'll just record a bit of video here, listen back to it later. And, or look at the sound bars or something, or like, no SD card. That's okay. We'll grab an SD card out of another camera and steal it and, and back up to the to the laptop at the same time. I think I do stay pretty calm under pressure. I'm just thinking back to our uni days, some of those projects, right? Like,
because we were all students.
They did get pretty crazy sometimes, but I was always trying to be, a little bit more logical. And thinking about, okay, how can we actually get around this? How can we solve this problem? Yeah. Just staying cool under pressure. Yeah. I don't know if that really answers your question.
It does a bit, because it's good to know that you can like be so cool and calm under pressure. You can kind of get out of any situation or hand that you dealt with.
Yeah.
Let's say if you were dealt with the best hand,
Mm-hmm.
your immediate creative space and world was at your beck and call, at your feet, ready to serve like a creative related project.
Let's go.
Like what sort of project would you create for yourself if you had a legion of highly skilled people that were aligned with you? Like if you got your own way, dude, if you got your own way, what sort of
Yeah.
things would you be throwing out into the world? Because you've been throwing shit out into the world since you were like day dot. If you had your way, what would you throw out there?
So I'm a big fan of travel YouTubers. So
Okay.
Peter McKinnon. There's a guy named Sam Calder. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I haven't heard of him. I have heard of Peter.
So Sam Calder gets to travel around the world shooting amazing content. He gets sponsored by these big brands.
Yeah.
And he does travel vlogs, which is really cool. But he also does like mini documentaries that sort of cater to good causes. He did one about poaching not too long ago, about like elephant tusk poaching. And so it was amazing. It was this super cool cinematic production, but it also had a purpose. It impacted people. Going back to what I said before about, I want to work in the media industry if I can make money and impact people. So having a positive impact on the world is really important to me as well. So just being able to travel around, make cool stuff, and actually have a positive impact on people would be amazing. So something like that, poaching documentary I was thinking of. There's a not-for-profit that I do some work for called the Major Projects Foundation. I'll give them a plug here.
Okay. I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So it was back in Newey, and they were associated with my previous job. Okay. And there was this CEO. It was the guy, the director of the company that was diving in Southeast Asia and noticed there was oil leaking out of these World War II shipwrecks. And it turns out that after 80 years, the ships are rusting enough that the oil that has been there for all this time since World War II is starting to really seep out.
Yes.
And the 3,000 shipwrecks, right, from World War II, 300 of them at least were oil tankers.
God.
And the ones that are rusting the fastest are the ones in shallow waters, near coral reefs, near indigenous communities that rely on the reefs.
It's a conservationist's worst
Exactly,
nightmare.
yeah.
What
And
the
so some of the like higher, like bigger wrecks have already been drained, and it's a whole process. You've got to bring a ship over to it. You've got to put down a big, pipe and then start pumping the oil out. And that could be, could be tons and tons of oil. And so this guy, the director of the company I used to work for, was really passionate about this and created this not-for-profit. And they bought a ex-New Zealand Navy dive support ship. It was this huge 1,000-ton diving ship.
Wow.
Sailed it over. It's in Newcastle Harbour right now. And then, there was a guy doing his PhD project that got on board as like the research director and paid staff. And they're getting heaps of government funding now. It's really, really cool. And so I did, and I still do work for them on the side, doing photos, doing videos, helping to run their social media.
That's fantastic.
And that's something where it's fun. You get to travel. You get to actually make a difference as well. Have a positive impact on people, on the environment. So that's stuff that I would love to get more and more into in the future.
So hold on. A lot of side hustles.
Yes.
This. Mentored.
Yeah.
And I suppose the time you've freed up from less travel, is that being sucked up by all these projects?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about routine and mindset a
Ooh,
little
here we
bit.
go. This is an area that I do struggle in.
You struggle in?
Yes.
Okay. I created some pretty ambitious annual goals this year. For me personally, do you ever go through a process of like making goals, whether it be on a time basis or like an unspecified amount of time, like in like 5 years' time I want to be here, or even better, in 1 year's time I want to achieve this, and this, and if so, do you have any like practices that improve the mindset? It sounds like you don't. What's that like when you're doing so many projects? How like walk me through that. Like how does the efficient nature of your creativity and the creator that's sitting in front of me, I guess, go through all that sort of stuff and not have some sort of self-sustaining methodology and like how do you oil your own rig, mate? How?
There's so many questions in there, man.
I know I'm a bad
No, that's
question
all right.
asker.
We'll start off with goals. I do have long-term goals. So back before uni, I had a 5-year plan.
I wish I had a fucking 5-year
Yeah,
plan.
no,
when I
it
left
was like
university.
finish high school, it was gap year, it was finish uni, it was get a job, it was buy a house. In
Damn.
5 years. And so, you know, bang, 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 all of those things done. Then when I finished that, it was like, oh, you know, what next? World's my oyster. And so, and then, you know, that led into a series of events where I'm, you know, now here in Sydney working for Mentored Media and doing all these things. In terms of goals year to year, yeah, I have goals. I try to, well, actually next year, I don't know what my goal is. I need to figure it out.
Let's workshop them here on the podcast.
Let's workshop it out.
Because
So I wanted to do a gig overseas
okay.
and get someone to pay for it for me. And
Have
I
you
did
ever
that
done-
last year.
Oh, you did that last year?
Sorry, I did it this year. Last year was, we don't talk about last year.
Oh yeah, true. This is
Yeah.
getting released in
Yes.
January 23.
Oh, no. No, never mind. I'm getting my years mixed up. I was meaning COVID last year, so we don't talk about that.
Okay.
It was this year.
For
it
audio
was
and video.
2022. Yeah, so I had my first
Okay.
paid international gig last year, 2022.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like? What was the job?
That was awesome. It was a conference connecting investors
Yep.
to small to medium-sized businesses in the blockchain space. So blockchain technology, NFTs, and they're all like pitching to these investors.
Uh-huh.
And like, oh, it was so cool. Like, you know, blockchains and NFTs, like a bit of a dirty word at the moment after the FTX hack. But this is
Yeah.
talking about like using the utility of it, using ownership and, you know, not just a get rich quick scheme. But no, that was amazing. Just, you know, doing a regular event photography, videography gig, but in LA.
So back on the goals you could potentially set for yourself to accomplish by the end of 23.
Yeah.
I guess to workshop them now on the podcast, because I think that's actually a very cool
Yeah.
self-accountability system, is that we workshop and set your goals, but then we sort of, you and I lock our goals in and
Yes.
document it.
Yes.
So like what's next for Dave Hukka, like naturally, that you think would be challenging to like accomplish within a year's time? Not too challenging.
So I record an audio time capsule for myself every year, every December. Yeah, I do. It's really cool. So like when I've got a long drive, I'll just like, you know, voice memos, record, and then leave it for going for an hour or so and just like talk to myself a year in the future.
Wow.
And then I'll listen to it every year, back to what I said. And I'm like, okay, how many of these things have actually ticked off? And one of the things that I locked in when I recorded it a week ago was this year, 2023. Yeah. I want to post on my Insta every single week a piece of content. Maybe it's a photo, video, carousel. Wow. And I want to do, and so far I've done it. I've been pretty consistent. And so really investing into myself as a brand and building that up.
The Dave Hukka brand.
Yeah. And that has to come with consistent posting.
Yeah. My boss has a similar mentality. He says to me 3 a day, and I'm like,
3 a day.
yeah,
That's crazy.
it is crazy, but that's where my systems and processes come in.
Yes.
I have to, we're like the production chain, like cookie cutter off the shelf, boom, here you go. He's like, yep, that's great, post. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you've been able to keep that pretty consistent with respect to, I guess, posting one a week, which is pretty achievable with the amount of time and energy you pour into the sets, the recording, the editing, the post scheduling, everything. But from the moment you hit record to the moment the likes start pouring in, right?
Well, it's before that. A lot of the process is before I hit record. It's
True.
brainstorming with myself or with other people, friends, with colleagues, to try to figure out the ideas. And I'm still trying to narrow down exactly what area, like me as Dave Hukka, wants to narrow in on. I think event videography, event
Ooh,
media
yes.
is a space that's sort of a niche that I'm heading towards.
What's with this? Oh no, I'm not going to ask that question. Stay. I really don't want to. I don't
Okay.
want to accelerate the questions. Back to the goals real quick.
Okay.
If you had to pick, let's lock it into 3.
Okay.
Because I don't think we have enough time. 3 like ambitious Dave Hukka personal brand oriented goals. You as a sole like dedicated videographer that is more than capable of like achieving anything. If you carry that belief with you, what are those goals? With where you're at right now, with everything you've just told me, like what?
So, well, one would have to be posting once a week.
Yeah.
Continuing
So you're
with
on
that.
track with that.
I'm
That's
on
the
track
first.
with that one for sure.
And you've definitely
Yeah.
locked that in.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'd love to crack 5K followers by the end of this
5K.
year.
You're like 2.6 something? Like
Yeah,
what's
no,
your
2.8 at the moment.
2.8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I post regularly over a whole year, that should be achievable.
Mate,
So
have no
We'll
doubt.
see how we go with that. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Well, that's really interesting because one of your goals is like it's so tied up with the first.
Yes.
So like if you really do well at the first, by proxy, the second one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's good quality content.
That
And,
is true.
and that's the other thing, right? Alongside this regular posting, I need to not let the quality suffer.
Yeah, that's so true.
And that's where it comes, like, being really passionate comes in. And I mean, I could always steal a post from my wedding video account.
No, you
and
don't want to
post that on my own
recycle.
personals, or just share or something.
What's your thoughts on recycling content before we get to the third goal?
Ooh.
Is
All right,
it
well, that
moral?
buys me time to think about the third goal. Reposting content on TikTok that was originally from Instagram or vice versa doesn't perform very well. It's content that is made natively in the app that performs the best. And look, I've seen it happen
hate it.
firsthand. So like on my wedding video Instagram, I've posted, all these like beautiful looking final wedding videos. And they perform okay. They might get, 1,000 views or so. But then whenever I post a really rough, like filmed on a phone, edited on InShot app on my phone, just, low quality video, that does really, really well. There's this one that has like 5,000 views. And I don't know. Well,
Why?
because I edited it partially in the Instagram app. So
Right.
that, I don't know, maybe the algorithm favors it. It's also got cute animals in it as well. So that probably helps.
So for that, would you like render all of the shots like properly graded? You chop them up inside of Instagram Reels tools. You add the Instagram audio, write the relevant caption. You're doing all of this, even though you're bringing elements from the camera roll. You're still executing it all inside of the Instagram app, and probably taking smartphone behind the scenes stuff too, and chucking that in the mix. So like this kind of
I
hot
need to do more of that because that performs
behind
really
the
well.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do a lot more of that. But again, I'm, production and video first and foremost. And so social media, like going back to the T-shaped individuals, video production is where my in-depth area is, and social media is one of the offside bits.
I feel like mine is video editing and the thinking of marketing associated with social media, and I guess curating content.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at right now.
Okay.
What about the third goal? Before we move on to the next topic, what about the third goal? Maybe something that isn't tied up to the success of the first two, something completely separate.
Yeah.
Maybe something in your personal life. Doesn't have to be work, doesn't have to be creating, but you as Dave Hukka, the creator who creates, like what kind of third goal do you think is appropriate?
So this is very vague, but I think
Vague.
Yeah,
I love vague.
I think establishing an equilibrium with that work-life balance. Because like I've alluded to a lot, it's always rough, right? It's always, I think we were talking before about teetering on the edge of like, too much to the point where I'm almost getting stressed with the amount of projects. So I think finally establishing that perfect balance, perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Perfectly
To
balanced
quote
as all
Thanos.
things should be. Do you
Yes.
find yourself like overworking with jobs that you are an employee for? So like, I'm not talking the stuff you do like soul trade, stuff you do for yourself. I'm talking like working for the boss, for the man.
Working for the man.
Working for the man, like how, I guess like, do you ever like go over too often, too hard? And have you ever experienced burnout? Maybe that's the question.
I have experienced burnout. Yeah.
How often?
Second year of university.
Oh, dude.
That was, there was like, it was like exam period. I was volunteering for a student-run YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Out of the uni, and all of these casual jobs that I had as well.
Was
And
this the
it just
same
got too
year
much.
that you did that that final media project where it was like the social media video?
No, this was the year before that.
Yeah, okay.
This was
yeah.
second year of uni.
Gotcha.
That was that was a good year actually. The third year was great
Yeah.
because I was doing less subjects. It was only 3 because it was like a 20-unit subject.
Yeah, it did feel like that a bit, didn't
Yeah,
it?
so it was like, oh, I've got all this free time, but we just had to dedicate 20 hours a week to that big one.
True.
Burnout, yeah. So I have burnt out. That was bad, but fortunately, it was right at the end of the semester, just
Lucky.
around like exam time, which means we had like a month off to just kind of catch up on things.
I've experienced it like kind of like a mental / emotional burnout. I feel like twice this year. Once was tied. I'm going to be vague, and I'm not going to explain it. But the first time I burnt out this year, no, last year, 2022. The first time I burnt out last year was tied to me eating uncooked chicken, and we're not going to go further into that story. No. The second burnout instance was I guess the final straw, or with I guess just having too many creators. This is my problem with team working. I guess it's like when things go wrong. Maybe is the one I want to talk about next.
Yeah.
Conflict resolution.
Okay.
The second instance of burnout last year was like me. It was feeling emotionally and mentally at odds with a creative cohort, especially with roles that are directly tied to the gathering of shots that I need, that I crave for to produce the edit I want.
Right.
Very selfish in that manner. But it's not a nice feeling when it gets to a point where it's like, oh, fuck. I tried doing this again and now I'm back to square one. How do you deal with conflict resolution, if any? Like you mentioned, you're like a cool, level-headed person when things are wrong, things go wrong for you. But when they go wrong on set between other people or between you and someone else, like have you ever found just like an instance where there's a technique to deflate conflict resolution at all?
I usually try to avoid conflict.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just
and like to the point where on set, I'll just thinking back to the uni days in particular, and this happens sometimes at work, where like, something's clearly wrong in a shot, like, I don't know.
Clearly wrong.
Yeah, like, I don't know, there's...
Clearly wrong by your definition?
Yes, and, it's a very technical
Yeah.
way of like, there's a boom in the shot or a light or something.
Yeah.
Like, my tendency will be to just not say anything and like, okay, and then fix it later. Or
Fix it in post.
or go back and refilm it later when, whatever person
Did you do that in uni?
A couple of times, yeah. And then sneak it into the edit.
Fuck.
Because like I don't like conflict. I also don't like disappointing people. I can be a little bit of a people pleaser.
Right. So people pleaser works probably too much and has
it's
issues
a bad combination.
and has
it's a bad combination.
Yeah, but also has I guess a difficulty with developing like some sort of mechanism to like improve mindset. Like where are you at with those three things? Like
it's a journey.
Yeah.
I'd say halfway through the journey.
What are you struggling with now with all that?
I think we've found a pretty good balance at the moment. And I think at the end of any like, build up, any hill, there's always like, always a drop, right? So and at the moment,
always another, man.
yeah, and at the moment, like
it's gonna wanna make it.
it's a stressful time of year coming up to the end of 2022. But
Yes.
then we've got, weeks off. We've got,
Glorious
the
2023
holiday
January.
season. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's great. No, I think moving close to work has been a great step because now I've got extra
Yeah.
time to chill out a little bit more.
But you just mentioned earlier that it was sucked up by some of the work, and you
Yes.
mentioned
Yeah.
work-life balance. Do you have time for yourself, your family, and your friends, mate?
I try to make some time, but not as much as I'd like. But at the moment, so I have a very much a work now, play later mentality. So
Yeah, nice.
and
Yeah.
that works in the short
I can
term.
subscribe to that.
That works in the short term, right? Like at the moment, like I want to finish a project before I then go to the gym or something, right? But it also
Yes, we're
works.
saying hi to Jim.
It also works long term as well over over years as a timeline, I guess, because I want to get all the hard work done now to then be able to not work as hard, work part-time, volunteer more later on in my life. And especially in the future when I have a partner, when I have a family, I would want to be able to spend more time with them than just working.
What sets you apart from everyone on the same level as you? And like, what's the common denominator with everyone successful, including yourself? Like, what's the difference and the uniqueness about you? And if you had to put it in a pinch, like what's different, what's same?
I think it's that combination of creativity and systems.
Always back to the systems.
Yeah.
So am I correct in understanding that the message here, from you to me, but also from you to the viewers and listeners by proxy, is that if you can sort of find a nice relationship with systems, maybe your creativity will flourish?
I think so. So my boss talks a lot about left brain, right brain, right? Like and two different personalities that are, they're very focused, like systems-minded people. And then the people that are all more of like heads up in the sky, in the clouds, all these ideas. If you can kind of find a happy medium and rein it in, then, and that's what I feel like I've done, then that's, I think, a good success, a recipe for success.
How do you stay up to date on, I guess, new equipment and techniques in the industry?
I'm going back to YouTube, man.
Back to YouTube.
It's always YouTube. Yeah,
always YouTube. Okay.
So I haven't binged a Netflix show in ages. Actually, no, I watched Andor on Disney Plus. Andor, the new Disney, the new Star Wars show.
Oh, I haven't used Disney Plus in ages.
It is so. That's another whole tangent. That's for a Star Wars podcast. You should resubscribe for Andor.
Andor.
It is amazing.
What is Andor?
It is Star Wars without the Star Wars. There are no lightsaber battles. There are no, Jedi. It's all about the universe and telling a grounded, realistic story, like a heist story and a prison break story within this universe, which is rich for storytelling. It's so good. But apart from that, I haven't watched a show in forever because I'm always watching YouTube. I'm always learning. Like, I'm a big podcaster, not so much music. I'm more of a podcaster because I can actually ingest knowledge. I can learn things. And I've always been that way, like from books about facts, like Guinness World Record books when I was a kid.
I'm trying to get more into the podcasting listening thing. For so long, I've just been listening to like comedians be funny. I'm like, that's so funny. But like that and watching TV shows and returning to the same comfort shows and movies, and between all that, I feel like I've missed out on some pretty positive self-learning discipline that I probably could have set years and years ago. Mate, if someone is starting out in the industry, if you had to boil down one word that represents effective growth, what would that word be?
One word.
One word.
I'd like to say persistence, but you know what? I'm going to say failure. Because when you fall down, you get back up again stronger. You learn. And so many of the mistakes I've made have led to doing it, better later. Like not recording the audio properly during a wedding ceremony. Like, oh no, tearing my hair out at the time, but then I've never made that mistake again.
Damn. Well, because when that happens, it's like, it's weddings. So it's high stakes.
Very high stakes. Sorry guys, you just do that first kiss again. I missed it. Just go again.
Can you repeat that vow one more time? My exposure ISO gain was like out the wazoo.
Oh, that's it.
Oh god, I think that's the one thing I'm gonna hate when I eventually start weddings,
Yeah.
because I feel like like I can be an emotionally sensitive person. So like already being at someone's wedding, I feel like I'm the sort of person that would choke up behind the camera.
I feel like you're also a perfectionist.
No,
and wedding
stop.
days, filming wedding days, you cannot strive for perfection. You can try, but
Mate, all those horror stories.
exactly, the DJ doesn't let you plug into their sound system, and you can't record any sound.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, his mixtape is pretty high up there on his level of importance. Wow.
It'll be a technical issue, like the RF frequencies will interfere with my microphone.
What are those?
Exactly.
No,
Are they a
explain.
myth? Are they a myth? Because they're just, like you get on a plane and they tell you to turn your phone off.
Mate, speaking of myths and things that don't exist, what is this Bible bro stuff?
Oh, well, that does exist.
Okay, it does exist.
So, yeah, okay.
Because...
No, okay. So the Instagram exists, but
Cool.
it is not a real podcast. It's a series
Okay.
of jokes to do with my faith and like just sort of this niche. And I wrote that initially during lockdown last year and thought, oh, this would be funny.
Right.
And then sort of strung those jokes together into just a series of videos. And I don't know, I think it's part passion project, part like creative outlet.
Because, yeah, I have noticed that you're of Christian faith. Is there a place for that in... Because I feel like I saw ages ago, like a reel or an Instagram story, I think it was, of you talking about how... the devil in the media, in like media production and stuff of that nature. So, am I correct in understanding that for you, Christianity, it does have a place or a framework with your creativity, and how do you incorporate that for a better as someone of Christian faith who's obviously trying to follow those values?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what reel you're talking about.
It was ages ago. It caught my mind, and I'm like, "Whoa!" I was not expecting that.
It could have been that, like, I think the modern media industry represents so many negative traits, things like greed and lust, and like excess, and like short attention spans are a perfect example of that.
Damn.
And
So the devil is in TikTok.
Exactly.
I knew
Write
it.
that quote right there, go on a TV show.
I
Get on
knew
a
it.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devil,
And so my faith is all about love and acceptance. And so I think there's definitely a way to use media to spread that. That might sometimes be at odds with the greedy, like, now instantaneousness of the media industry. And that all ties into, I guess, wanting to make an impact and what I said before about that.
And is Bible Bro like a way of, I guess bringing humor to
Very much so.
that situation, and I guess addressing that concern you may have with the devilish temptations.
I think humor is a good way of connecting with people. I don't know if the Bible Bro account is addressing that directly. I think it's more just funny.
Okay.
It's just for the lols.
It's for the lols. It's
an
satire.
Outlet. Yeah, it's an outlet for me. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely satire. I mean, you've got to poke fun of everything, right?
That's
I
good.
mean, yeah, nothing is above, criticizing and being satirical of.
Well, that's
Of
fantastic.
satirizing. Yeah.
And you have the maturity to do that to and for and with your elements of your own religion.
Yeah.
Like self-inserting yourself into a different podcast.
Green screening myself.
Green screening yourself into a podcast to seem like
yeah.
you're being interviewed by, what was his name?
Is Pastor Mike Todd. I
Pastor
haven't been sued
Mike
yet,
Todd.
so that's okay.
But mate, it's clearly a gag, right? It takes 1 second to look at all the shit on your account to realize that this is your passion.
Yeah. And I think there is a difference between satirizing something and being respectful of it versus satirizing something and trying to being disrespectful and trying to tear it down.
Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that at all. Yeah. I did try and end it but I found another way to talk more.
All right, let's go.
Oh no, I'm saying I already did that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the other segments so that we can kind of comfortably, casually close out.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're heading in that direction.
Let's do it.
I'm going to try 2 new segments.
Okay.
So we've kind of exited the interview phase officially. You are now a guest we all know and are acquainted with. So now we can talk about some other stuff. Mate, the first segment is called In Other Hues. And I didn't say that wrong. In other news, but spelt hues, as in the word hue, Hues.
What?
Wow. Oh my God. How could I?
Mind blown.
The colourful way to deliver news on arts, culture and media. Welcome to In Other Hues for January 2023. Warning to all, I might have said this earlier, but my phone is just a teleprompter. I'm not being rude to my guest or the cameras. Had to say that.
So rude.
In Other Hues, the Avatar sequel called The Way of Water, according to the ABC, has actually blown the US to a 26.7 million first-day gross of the first Avatar film in 2009 out of the water. It blew it out of the water completely, pun intended.
I like the pun.
Thank you. I will be seeing that one very soon. Have you seen it yet?
I have seen it.
Mate.
It is a visual
No spoilers.
feast.
No spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's water related.
Yeah.
Anything. Watch it in 3D. You have to watch it in 3D. It is insane.
I remember seeing the first Avatar, and it was
3D,
like those special glasses. It wasn't the cyan red.
Yeah.
It was...
So they like synchronize with the screen, I think. I'm pretty sure.
What do you mean?
So
Screen to lens synchrony?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
So look, there's a lot of different ways to do 3D, but I think that version of 3D back in the day,
Yeah.
was like they play different frames of the video really quickly.
Whoa.
Like one frame for one eye, one frame for the other eye, really fast, and then the glasses kind of use a polarizer or something to sync that out.
Wow.
I think that's one version of it.
That's
the
crazy.
old style red and blue are like one eye, they're like 2 images overlaid. One of them has like a red shifted or hue or
red
whatever.
tint and then the
and
cyan.
only lets red colors in, only lets blue colors in, cyan colors in.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the cyan one addresses the deep blue green and the red is just red. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that one addresses two of the 3 color cones in your eye, and the other is just the red. I'm pretty
Interesting.
sure
But yeah,
that
but that's not the technology being used now. It's new technology.
that was the one before.
And I don't
before the
exactly
first
know
Avatar.
how it works, but it's like
No.
you're essentially seeing 2
Wait.
different images in 2 different eyes, and it's just a way of delivering that to you.
I'm pretty sure the first time I saw a movie with that kind of new special tech was actually Up, that
Right,
Pixar film.
okay.
And it was so weird. I was
Yeah.
young. The clouds were like this
Yeah.
tiny little ballooned house. I'm like,
My mum and dad have a
Whoa.
TV like that is 3D. Like we never really used the 3D
Yeah.
ness of it, but I remember it came with those glasses. It was pretty cool. But yes, absolutely do watch it. The story is a little bit more interesting than the first one.
oh, that's good to know.
Which is good. There are more interesting characters. It's
You
not
heard it
just
here,
Pocahontas
folks.
in space.
Space
some
Hontus.
interesting themes explored, but just like visually, it is absolutely spectacular.
An absolute feast.
James Cameron, yes.
In other hues, still on the topic of James Cameron, James Cameron's 25 years ago, the Titanic was released and then devastatingly crashed into the iceberg we in the biz called the box office. And remained a beautiful, glorious wreckage for the following 12 years as the highest grossing film of all time worldwide. Isn't that fantastic?
I like what you did there.
But I wanted to share this one because there was also news that came out
Yeah.
reminding everyone that we're all human, and even the most common and unexpected diseases can really interrupt someone's career and remind us of our mortality. Celine Dion, she revealed that she had, I think it was called stiff muscle disease or something.
Right.
I've got to Google it.
Okay.
I forgot to write it down, but basically she had to cancel like a whole tour and refund a whole lot of tickets.
No.
Yeah. So, and she explained that this was why she's been having all these muscle spasms like her whole life. And it's 1 in every like million. So that means like 8,000, if I'm doing my maths right, carrying the 1 0, like 8,000 people on this planet like have this rare disease and it's still being learned about.
Really?
So Celine Dion, my heart will go on without you. Yeah, it's kind of a sad one.
Yeah.
In other hues, Netflix confirms that the Harry and Meghan series has the highest view hours of any documentary title in a premiere week. Oh my God.
That's stirring up some controversy, hasn't it?
It is. Are you for the monarchy or are you
Oh, look, I loved Queen Liz. She was great.
She
But
was a doll.
Yeah. I mean, look, to be honest, she didn't do much.
What?
She was very much of like a figurehead.
Mate, the amount of British Prime Minister grubby hands she had to shake. Are you kidding me?
But now that she's sadly passed, I think we should be reevaluating whether we should stay in the Commonwealth. Yeah, put it to another vote.
Well, I mean, Prince Charles has a similar mindset even while she was alive, and I feel like he's changing things internally.
Yeah, actually, no. I will say something about Charles. King Charles. Yeah, he's the king.
King.
Yes,
King Charles.
God save the king.
It's January 2023.
He is. So I didn't actually know much about him, but I watched a thing recently. He's actually quite an activist. He's quite outspoken. Like the royal family is meant to stay very neutral and very like above politics.
Holier than thou. Yeah.
But yeah, and like that's great. Passionate about the environment. It may have some political implications, if because he's the head of state of the UK of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So yeah,
imagine being the head of state.
I know, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy being a part of the Commonwealth.
Absolutely.
Do you think Australia will ever become a republic?
Yeah, I think so.
When? In our lifetime?
In our lifetimes, yeah.
How old are we going to get? How many wrinkles are we going to have when that starts to happen?
For me, quite a few more because stress.
You kind of took it in a dark turn. Okay.
No.
Well, if you had to put an age number on it.
I don't know.
That you're a 26-year-old man now.
10 years, we'll say. Yeah. What I'm really interested to see is what's the flag going to look like? What? Because
the Australian flag?
Yeah, there's so many options, right? Because at the moment it's, the stars and you've got the Union Jack.
It's going to be so awkward if we come out the other side with like the world's crappiest flag. 'Cause I'm actually proud of our flag. Like I love the design of it, even if there's a Union Jack in it.
Yeah. Well, it looks the same as like, so many other flags. Same design.
I know, but there's just something about that arrangement that is just, I don't know. It's just weird to think about something different.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing like specimen staying on the Royals thing, new specimen notes of Charles's face on banknotes and coins. That's so weird to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the last in other hues, just the movies in the cinemas that we're going to watch, I'm going to see Spielberg's The Fabelmans, Todd Field's Tar, and Damien Chazelle's Babylon. Are there any other films you're going to be watching around January this month?
I don't know, January. I'm looking forward to Oppenheimer.
When does that come out?
I just saw the trailer, so I'm guessing first half of next year. I didn't look at the date, but yeah, I'm so keen for that. I watched a behind the scenes thing. He shot a nuclear explosion practically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not an actual nuclear explosion, but they used, I don't know, some process to not CGI it. And in the trailer, at least, it looks insane. Whoa. They have filmed real nuclear explosions before.
Yeah.
And inserted that footage into movies. So technically...
That's cheating.
So, yeah, it's cheating, but it could be. I don't know. There's a lot of CGI nukes.
Damn. Yeah. I just want to know if I'm looking at a non-nuke that is practical and not CGI. That'd be really cool.
Watch Oppenheimer, for sure.
We'll be checking that one out as well. I don't know when it's coming out.
No, neither do I. We'll check right after this.
And the last segment that I'm kind of testing out.
Let's go.
Putting out a feeler.
All right.
Mate, do you like being a polarizing person?
I do. Hit me with it. I like to split people right down the middle. Just chop them in half.
Oh
no, I don't, because I just said earlier that I like to avoid conflict.
Oh, what a neat way of avoiding conflict. Put down the machete, mate. Wow. Okay. This segment is called Hurn or Burn.
Bring it on.
I present the scenario, and we both decide. Is it a hurn? Like we heart it, we stand, we think it's a scenario that is a good thing, or a burn, which is like, nah, it's burnable. You know, like this is clearly, cringeworthy or bad or whatever word you want to use. So hurn or burn, yes or no. That's kind of
Hurn or burn. Hurn or burn. Let's go.
The first one is people who are double jointed thinking they are so fucking interesting when they share that fact with someone who didn't ask. Hurnable or burnable?
That's burnable.
Why?
Because.
Okay, so you're treating this as rapid fire. No, that's good.
I thought we were just going for one after the other.
No, it's okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I think it's burnable too. Hearing the reply, what do you charge? When you literally just ask the client, what is your budget?
No, burn.
Burn instantly.
Absolutely, instant burn.
People who take their cereal out of the cardboard box packaging it comes in just to put it in their own little special Tupperware container to use later.
Okay,
What?
so I would have said burn in the past, but I just moved into a place with cockroaches. So I have to say hurn. That's a good move. It's essential.
But the hurn answer would be, let's give those cockroaches a home.
No, but the cereal has a home in my stomach already. Okay,
True. That is very true. That's the logical answer there. Here's an interesting one. It's a two-parter.
Ooh.
Your significant other has earbuds in listening to music. They take one out and offer it to you so that you can listen in.
Okay.
You go, yeah, sure, my sweetheart, schnookum, poopykins, I accept, without a second thought. You look at it, and there's the grimiest earwax war zone you have ever seen. Do you hurn it, put it in, suck it up, listen in? Or do you burn it, look at it, and go, ew, look at this shit, and then put it in?
Well, my schnookum schnoopy pants, I am going to choose neither of those options. I have a third.
What is your third?
So I would say, look over there. There's Ryan Gosling.
Where?
And then I would wipe it on my shirt and then put it in.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I am wearing
I saw
the earbud.
Ryan Gosling in my mind's eye.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
I was
from the new Barbie movie trailer?
Yes, I should have talked about that.
He's the Ken
in
doll.
other hues, pink, Barbie, Ken. Come on, Barbie. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is the exact same scenario, but the buds are now in whether you clean them or not. But it's country music that you're listening to.
No, that's a burn.
Burn. Yeah.
Burn,
no,
absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, so back to the Royals. Harry and Meghan. Hurn or burn?
Burn, I think. There's just...
Burn.
What? What? The controversy... I look, to be honest, I don't follow it.
Okay, all right.
I don't follow what's
Respectable.
going on. I haven't seen the Netflix doco.
Okay, well that... Yeah.
Is that way? Are there any insights? What is that?
It just put things into context a bit.
Okay.
That's all I've got to say.
All right. Well, I shall have to check it out. So you know what? Let's not hurn or burn that yet.
Okay, that is an acceptable answer. The cashier at a retail outlet has given a customer too much change by mistake, and the customer says nothing about it after realizing, walks away with that change that might not be theirs. Is that customer a hurn or a burn character?
Ooh, I think it depends on the context.
The context of
the person of the store. If there was like one of those little boxes that you could put excess change to charity. Yeah, because like that's what I would do, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, look, if it's a massive corporation that's stereotypically greedy, I think that's a hurn situation. If it's like a mum and pop store, that I'd want to give them back their extra change.
Fantastic. Yeah. No, I don't know. The logical side in me kicks in. It's by default it's a burn, but you literally raised context, which is something I hadn't thought of in that one. So it's like, yeah, I feel like more hurn, but it depends also on the size of the change.
True.
Yeah,
if it was like an extra 20 cents, but also like who's using cash now anyway?
Yeah, true. No, it could be even like, I guess like someone putting in the wrong number by mistake,
Oh.
and the customer walking away, noticing but not return
Yeah. Okay.
to get the money they didn't rightfully spend. Maybe it was a misclick. It was
Like
$20.
a refund
It was $20 instead of 10.
Okay.
The customer walks away with the product. They don't bother to come back in. They say it's fine.
Yeah.
Is that a hurn or a burn moment?
Yeah. Well, that would be an overpay or an underpayment situation.
Oh no, it would be okay. So
Because if the customer is buying a product, then they're paying the store.
true. Oh,
Maybe it's a refund.
maybe it came down to how I worded that one.
Yeah.
I worded it a bit
I don't
awkwardly.
know. Anyway.
We will never know if that was a hurn or a burn. And thus concludes our segment and our podcast. Mate, where can people chuck you a follow?
On my Insta, just at Dave Hukka. Do
Fantastic.
that. I am building up my YouTube channel as well. In fact, just Google me. Just Google Dave Hukka.
Just Google the man.
Yeah. And then you'll find me.
The man with the plan and strategy to
I'm
tackle
working
on
on it.
anything. He's made some 3 new
trying.
goals. You're
Yes.
trying. We all believe in you. And you clearly have done so much more than anything I've offered to creativity thus far. I feel, especially with camera. Let me just confine what I just said to camera. I feel like with camera, you have done so much more. And this conversation has been so inspiring. And knowing, this is the key takeaway, knowing that any camera, nowadays can kickstart off your career with a good mindset and healthy environment and approach to discipline and, overcoming fears, all of that packaged into this one podcast episode, successful podcast episode. I hope, I feel, I think, I know. Dave Hukka, thank you so much for your time here. I really appreciate it. And that is the first episode of Hurncast. Chuck us a follow on Spotify and YouTube. New podcast episodes every month. If I can find a guest that would want to talk to me, that is. I have no doubt I will succeed in that. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.